Okay, next part. Here we go.
Shooting incident. I have also reviewed Greg McMichael's statement made to the Glenn County Police Department, where he says that he knew nothing was.
Man, his demeanor is absolutely horrible. Cocky, swaying in his chair, sitting. I mean, I do not like this cop's demeanor when he's thinking he's right and he's got all the answers. But I'm sure the cop lovers will be, Rick, you just don't like him because his tie is black and it's whatever.
Taken on February 11th. He didn't believe anything had been taken from the house in the past. He said it's possible, but he didn't believe so.
Okay. I'll get to that. Okay. You had begun to speak a little bit about...
Did he just admit that it was possible something was taken? Because earlier testimony, he said there wasn't nothing taken.
He knew nothing was taken on February 11th. He didn't believe anything had been taken from the house in the past. He said it's possible, but he didn't believe so.
Okay. I'll get to that. Okay. You had begun to speak a little bit about Mr. Arbery's background. You were asked questions about athletics and things that he did for leisure. I think running was one of those things.
Yes, sir.
Did you get any information about where he would go for runs and whether that included the Satilla Shores neighborhood?
I did, yes, sir.
And what did you learn about whether he had run previously in Satilla Shores?
Yes, we found witnesses in Satilla Shores that had confirmed that he did run through Satilla Shores.
And did they give you an estimation of when that was, or just that they had seen him generally before?
I don't recall. I believe there were the witnesses we interviewed. I did not personally interview him. Was relayed to me is that they had seen him run through the neighborhood before. That at least one of them had engaged in frequent conversations with him while he was running through there, and I believe they gave a time frame that they would normally see him running through the neighborhood.
And that witness, have you documented that interview with the witness's name and contact information?
It will be documented. I did not do the interview, but yes.
That is something that has happened since the arrest on May 7th?
No, that was before May 7th.
That was before?
Yes.
Okay, so that's kind of what we were talking about, is what you had done in that 32-hour period. Larry English was one person that she had spoken to. What else did you do in that period?
See, he had to go back to it. See, because he didn't let him finish, had he let him finish earlier, he would have got this information and he could have went over it. Or if the cop brought it up later to be like, I asked you for a complete list and you didn't. See, now he gives the government a chance to weasel out of this. And now we have to go back to the question as again. Defense attorneys, get a freaking list, write it down, then go ask your damn questions. They get inexperienced defense attorneys get all excited, and as soon as they hear something like, oh man, I want to address that right now. Yeah, well, that's not a good tactic. In my opinion.
We conducted a neighborhood canvass at Satilla Shores, where again we located the witnesses that had seen Mr. Arbery running.
Neighborhood canvass, call that, basically ask anybody and everything that's seen. You knock on everybody's door that has sight in the neighborhood. You find out if they have a camera, if there's video cameras, if they've ever been contacted by these people, what's their relationship with the guy, have they heard anything. If they did a good canvass, they would have asked every neighbor, are you aware of break-ins? Are you aware that there's been any thefts? Are you aware? Because the more the neighborhood knows and the more they talk about it, the more it hurts their case. So if they did not ask those questions on the canvas, that shows bias. That shows we don't want to find information that hurts our case. We're only looking for information that helps our case. So if the defense gets these reports where they did the neighborhood canvass and the only question they ask, have you ever seen Mr. Arbery jogging? Did he jog by a lot? Okay, thanks a lot. That's only fitting their case. Good defense attorneys will have an investigator go out there and they'll do their own neighborhood canvass. And they'll ask all the questions that the prosecution didn't ask. And they'll point out, why didn't the prosecution ask these questions? Why didn't you ask all these people if they were aware of the burglaries? If they knew what kind of neighbor, the defendant was? If they knew that the defendant had guns and that he was protecting the neighborhood? If they were involved in a neighborhood watch and that the defendant was part of that neighborhood watch and they trusted him and that he was a level-headed guy and that we didn't have any problems with him? Because I guarantee you they probably ask, do you know this person? Have you ever seen him wear a gun around here? Have you ever known him? Has cops ever been to his house? Does he throw wild parties? They surely try to discredit the defendants. And if they were looking for the truth, they would have tried to discredit the person who is dead also. Because that's fair. You want the truth.
We spoke with family members who confirmed that he ran. We I'm sorry, that's all that comes to the top of my head but I know there were those investigative acts that were accomplished, but I don't recall them all.
These investigative things that you're doing, this is going to assist you in making your decision about whether or not to arrest for felony murder, correct?
No, that's correct. And I do remember, too, that we actually had received enhanced audio and we've stabilized video from the 911 call that Greg McMichael had that occurred during the shooting. That was reviewed. Like I said,
enhanced video, do you mean Mr. Bryan's video?
Yeah, I do. It was stabilized, is what they called it, where it makes it where it's not as shaky, moving back and forth. That was done by ROCIC for us. I believe we obtained that before the arrest warrants were sought. So yes, sir.
And then I think you've already said that you reviewed the entire Glenn County file, which included Mr. McMichael's statements, also his father's statements, and Mr. Bryan's.
Now, earlier I said this cop is arrogant and it comes off kind of cocky. Now, a lot of experts and a lot of people, and I'm sure people would describe me. Any feedback I ever got from the jury, I don't think maybe I did get cocky once or arrogant once. But most of the times I got believable, honest, seemed like he was telling the truth. That's the feedback I got from most juries when I testified. So I fooled them good for all you people out there that think I'm just full of shit lying all the time. Anyway, here we go. So cocky and arrogant, when I said cocky and arrogant, some people will interpret that as confident, assured of himself, knows the facts, he's reliable, I can trust him. Remember, one man's terrorist is another man's freedom fighter. So it all depends on what our lens is and what our filters are on how we see things.
Yes, that's correct.
You've mentioned that Mr. Bryan has told you that Travis McMichael used this awful cursing term. Is that something that you learned prior to the arrest? So
now we're not saying the N-word. Now we're going to refer to it as that awful person term. I mean, to talk around a freaking word. If somebody said he was an asshole, he was a jackass, he was a piece of shit, would we be tiptoeing around that too? That awful word they called him. When they told him he was calorie challenged, did you take that as them being rude about saying he was anorexic? I know it's a terrible word, but I don't want to say it. And when he called him fat, let's use the term obese because that fat is just so offensive. And I mean, it's just crazy the way we talk about freaking words. Just say what you got to say and get your damn message across. Quit trying to worry about everybody's damn feelings. We're trying to get to the truth. We're talking about people going to prison for the rest. We're talking about that guy that got killed and died, and we're worried about freaking little words. Are you kidding me?
Decision on the 7th?
No, sir. We learned the information afterwards, and he did not tell me personally. He told an agent with the GBI.
I'm going to assume that it was told to either you or your agents working under your direction.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And so, May 7th, we're now at June 4th. When did you learn from Mr. Bryan that Travis McMichael allegedly cursed and said that horrible word at the deceased body?
The horrible word. I thought it was a horrible person term. Now it's just a horrible word. Okay.
I believe that interview was conducted on May 13th.
Okay, so after your decision to arrest.
Yes,
May
sir.
Oh, that's key. That's key. Rick, why is that key? You still said it. They charged him before they knew this. So they can't say our decision to charge him was based on this. What they will say is, we knew it was racial, we just couldn't prove it, and we proved it later. Bullshit. It was political fallout. You got called by the governor. You got assigned to the case. You were told, we want to arrest this guy so we don't have riots. And that's how you flee from public pressure, and you end up locking up innocent people in the whim of you don't want looting because you're scared of people like Antifa and Black Lives Matter and other groups that will threaten you and extort you into charging people, otherwise we'll burn down your city. What the hell's going on?
13. At that time, how is it, sir? Of 2012.
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes.
How is it that Mr. Roddy was in a position to come speak to you or your agent about that on that particular day? Did you call him? Did your agent call him? How did that come? How did he come in to speak with you?
My agent had actually already interviewed him.
Prior to the 13th?
Yes, sir. 2 days prior. My agent had spoken with his attorney, and I believe Mr. Bryan had agreed to an interview and then agreed to a subsequent interview where they would go into details involving the shooting incident.
So on the May 11th interview, Mr. Roddy did not say or allege that Travis McMichael said that awful thing.
I don't think the interview was focused on the time.
He didn't answer the question. He's trying to shuck and jive. No, he didn't say it. You didn't know about it. Your agent interviewed him, and he didn't mention that he said that he said whatever the fuck he said that we can't say because we have to not offend somebody. What? It's bullshit. The cop's bullshitting him right now. He's not answering a question. No, he didn't tell him. And I'm going to tell you why he told him later.
The shooting, it was, I believe, subsequent to the shooting was the focus of that interview.
But he didn't say it on that day, to your knowledge.
I don't believe so, no, sir.
And
you reviewed the report. It wasn't in the report. You know he didn't say it. Are you saying that he might have said it and your agent didn't put it in the report? No. Well, you just said, I don't believe he said it then. So did you review the report or didn't you? You did review it. Was it in the report? No. So is it reasonable to assume that he didn't say it or it would be in the report? Yes. So why did you just say you believe he didn't say it? I mean, I'd eat this guy up on that as a defense attorney on that topic right there. But hang on.
looking back to February 23rd, 24th, moving all the way through February and March and April and the first 11 days in May, he had never told anyone that Travis McMichael had made that horrible statement.
Not that I'm aware of, he hasn't. He had not provided that information, nor provided information concerning the video that he had at his residence, surveillance video that captured.
Right, somebody else released that video.
No, I'm talking about the surveillance video at his house.
His home house video.
Yes.
Okay, so we just distracted from him not saying it earlier, and now he's moved it to the video. So now the defense attorney's chasing rabbits, and he goes, oh shit, shiny thing, the video. Let me get to that. Man, I'd have locked him down on that. You know why this guy came back and told him about that comment? Who thinks they know? Here's what happened. His attorney said, look, dude, they got these guys. His attorney called the DA and said, you're charging my guy with this. If I can give you information that helps you on a prosecution of the guy that shot him, will you be willing to deal on my guy? Because I'm worried about my guy. I don't care about these other guys. And the DA went, well, it depends on what he has. And the guy goes, what if he heard your guy say fucking nigger? Oh, I want that. If your guy can give me that, I can guarantee you he'll get a better deal. We'll take care of him. Okay, let's schedule a new interview. That's why the new interview, I can almost guarantee you that's how that conversation got in there. And that's why this revelation of a comment came afterwards. I don't like plea deals. I don't like things like that. To me, if it wasn't relevant before, why is it relevant now? Did you make it up? Are you just saying what you need to say to get a better deal and to hang out someone else? It removes credibility. The defense attorney will be attacking the credibility of this statement because it took 11 days for this guy to come out with this statement. It was not relevant and it wasn't said for 11 days. Why did it come out? Here we go.
He revealed that to us as well, and we were able to get a copy of that.
And that was on the 13th?
I believe so, yes, sir. But I'm not. That might have been the 11th. I don't recall what day that occurred on.
So you're telling me, this is where I'd be digging a hole in their freaking little defense here. You told me earlier that you guys did a neighborhood canvass. When you do a neighborhood canvass, do you normally look for cameras? Do you ask people if they have video? Oh yeah, that's standard. Anytime we do a neighborhood canvass, we ask them if they have any videos that might have captured anything that happened. Well, how do you not ask one of the guys involved in chasing, who lives right next door to where it happened? How do you miss that he's got a freaking camera 11 days into your investigation? How do you miss that? I'll tell you how you miss it. Because you're incompetent. Because you were focused on getting an arrest warrant and you weren't focusing on finding the truth. You just wanted what helped your case, and you didn't ask the questions that any reasonable officer would have asked. I'd have ate him up on that. Hopefully they will when it comes to the jury trial. Somebody needs to send this to the defense attorney so they can watch my video.
Okay. But the answer to the question is, I'll rephrase, he had been asked about the shooting from as far back as February 23rd and given statements to police about it at that time.
He was interviewed on February 23rd, where he made no mention about that statement. As far as I know, he was not interviewed again until my agent contacted him in May.
And preceding that interview, I think you just testified that his attorney got involved and was a part of the decision to have him come forward and be interviewed on the 11th and the 13th.
His attorney was present, yes, sir, during the interviews, if that's your question.
Yeah.
See, he doesn't want to say his attorney wanted to cut a deal and we'll give you information. Yeah, his attorney was present. When you dodge questions like that, to me, you lose credibility.
And was the district attorney present at that meeting as well?
No, sir.
Just yourself or one of your agents?
One of my agents did the interview, and I believe another agent was called in to help with the technical involving, because there was a consent to download his phone again, so another agent assisted in that matter. But yes, sir, that's all I believe.
Bad question by the defense. The defense said, was the DA present? And he said no. His follow-up should have been, was the DA aware of this meeting? Did he approve it or send the investigators? Did you brief the DA? I'm assuming you're briefing the DA as you get new information. Is that true? Yes. Well, when one of the co-defendants wants to have a second meeting to give you information that you didn't have, isn't that important enough to brief the DA? Yes. Did you brief the DA? Yes. What did the DA say? Did the DA talk to his attorney before? This attorney missed all this golden information in my book.
Was there,
Has that been recorded and documented?
as far as the download of the phone?
No, the interview with Mr. Bryan. Video recorded?
It was audio recorded. And I know it was at least audio recorded. I am not sure if it was video recorded as well. I do not know.
Are you aware if Mr. Bryan had any promises of...
You notice how he's not sitting in a chair? He's on the front, twisting around. He doesn't use the back. Now, that may be because he wants to get closer to the microphone, but it would look better if he sat in a chair and rolled the chair forward and was sitting in the chair. It's almost, I don't know. And again, I think I'm still playing this on a quarter time, so things are going to get, so I'm still 1 1/4 time. So it's going to, when you speed something up, it makes things, his body movements seem more erratic, I guess.
...leniency at the time he made that statement?
I'm not aware of any.
Or a promise not to arrest or indict him for these charges?
I'm not aware of any.
Not aware.
Yes.
Is that something that you would typically be made aware of?
I did not have any conversation with the attorney or him, so.
Okay.
I missed that question. I got to go back. Sorry.
The time he made that statement?
I'm not aware of any. Was video recorded as well? I do not know.
Are you aware if Mr. Bryan had any promises of leniency at the time he...
Oh, he did get it. I missed that. Good for him. Now, he's going to say he's not aware. I kind of think that's bullshit. I guarantee you, as the case agent, he was like, dude, we got one of the co-conspirators coming in, and he's going to say he used the N-word, and he's already talked to the DA, and the DA said get the information before we make a deal or something. I guarantee, and again, I don't know if the DA is, this is the first time I'm seeing this, I don't know if the DA is going to follow up, but I would follow up. In your experience, is it reasonable that when a co-defendant gives information that's helpful to the prosecution's case, that they normally get some sort of assistance in sentencing, or they're treated in a more positive manner when it comes to sentencing or charging? Is that your experience, officer? That should have been a follow-up.
...made that statement?
I'm not aware of any.
Or a promise not to arrest or indict him for these charges?
I'm not aware of any.
Not aware.
Yes.
Is that something that you would typically be made aware of?
I did not have any conversation with the attorney or him, so.
Ah, he just dodged a question again. Is that something you would typically be aware of? Yes. If I was working a case and I'm the case agent and the DA is cutting deals and getting things that I'm going to have to testify, interview, and put in my report, yes, I would be made aware of that. In this case, I was not made aware of that, and I have no knowledge. That would have been a better answer, and it doesn't look like it. Oh, I wasn't, in this case, I wasn't told. He didn't answer the question. The question was, is that something you would typically be made aware of?
All right. Talking with Mr. English, neighborhood cameras, getting information about him running, the audio, the 911, any other evidence that you reviewed before your arrest decision?
This defense attorney has a shitty mic. I've got my damn headphones turned on full blast to hear him. And then this guy talks loud, and it's kind of a pain in the butt.
Again, like I said, we spoke with the family. We obtained background information on the victim. I don't recall. There may have been other investigative acts. I believe there were, but I do not recall them offhand.
Okay. Did you determine whether or not Mr. Arbery ran in a particular type of clothing, or whether the cargo shorts was something that he would run in?
I did. Through the interviews that he would run in all types of clothing, and we established that later on in the investigation with numerous people and actually video of him running in similar clothing. He would run with whatever he had on.
Yeah. Thank you. I think you also testified on direct about Travis's background and being in the Coast Guard. What is it that you have done to look into Mr. McMichael's background?
Mr. McMichael's background, we have obtained his personnel record, his post record. We have requested his. Were you talking about Greg McMichael? Okay.
I'm only going to be asking, unless I'll say Greg McMichael.
I'm sorry, I apologize for that. For Travis McMichael, we have requested and obtained his Coast Guard training record and file, I believe. We've requested it, I believe we've actually obtained it.
Why did you do that?
To understand what training he has received, during his interview with Glenn County Police Department, he states that his position as a boarding officer, that he knew from 30 to 40 yards away that Ahmaud Arbery was not going to surrender, was going to keep coming. And through that statement, I wanted to know what his training and experience was.
Was that important that he told you that? Did you find that significant at all?
I did. It helped confirm what I saw in the video, that he was, when he got out, or when he's got the shotgun up, he's pointing it at him, and they helped confirm that to me.
Okay. And is it, that training, did you learn about what he actually did, what his job function was in the Coast Guard? I think you said boarding, or?
My understanding from his statements and from confirmation from the agent that had the file that he was a boarding training, which is the person that goes on the boats to board them. Now, like I said, I have not reviewed his entire training file as of yet.
To do what? Board other boats to do what?
To take control of the boat.
On behalf of the Coast Guard?
Yes.
Because of some activity, illegal activity or otherwise?
Yes, or to secure it for search or whatever else they would do. So.
I understand.
Okay, so training goes into play here. Remember, when you judge somebody's reasonableness of their actions, you have to take in what a person with the same experience, training, same, you have to put them kind of in the same boat. Would they make the same decision? That's how you get to reasonableness. You can't put some dude who does Coast Guard boarding and judge him against a dude who works, in a flower shop and his enjoyment of life is planting daisies. You can't use them to do the same thing. They would act differently in the same situation. Why? Because they have different backgrounds and training. Okay? A woman who's a professional ballet dancer, never had a gun, never been in a fight, never been anywhere near confrontation whatsoever, is the sweetest little ballerina, cannot be judged and say, "Excuse me, Miss Ballerina, do you think it's reasonable to jump out of a truck with a shotgun and try to stop a fleeing felon? Oh my God, no, that's never reasonable. I would never do that." Well, you can't judge it against her. Reasonableness comes from a reasonable standard, a person with the same education, background, training, etc.
And that you have said that Mr. Bryan has put this statement coming out of the mouth of Travis McMichael, this horrible thing. In looking so far in the case, whether it's on Travis's interaction through the neighborhood Facebook page or on his phone, have you seen any other evidence that he has used that horrible N-word anywhere else?
Yes, sir, many times.
Okay.
Whoa! I didn't see that one coming. That horrible word. Have you ever seen him use it? Yes, many times. Oh, shit. Again, it's a word to me. It doesn't mean... There's no word. Look, I call people asshole, jerks, communists, libertards, idiots all the time. Doesn't mean I want to kill them. Doesn't mean I'm waiting for a chance to shoot them. Doesn't mean that I live my life just hating. If I live my life hating and wanting to kill all idiots, man, my life would be monopolized. But I'm just telling you, just because, see, the only reason this is so offensive is because we can't say the N-word. We can't even speak it in normal tone. We must whisper it. And as now we make this word the case. Somebody shouldn't go to jail because of a word. I don't even care if he yells fire and there's no fire. He shouldn't go to prison. We're rigging the theater. It's illegally. Well, you know what? I got news for you. Most people who see a fire, here's a shocker. Hang on to your panties, everybody. Most people that see a fire yell fire to alert other people. But Rick, they can cause panic and it's against the law and you should go to jail. Well, whatever. You're an idiot.
And where?
There's on his Instagram post, he responds on one. I do not recall every time it was there, but I can give you some examples of numerous times. On the Instagram post, somebody sends him, this is on January 2nd of 2020, someone sends him a video or a picture. We were not able to recover that from the phone. That's one of the reasons why I have a search warrant out for Instagram. They send that out. He says, makes the comment, that would only be better if they'd have blown that effing N-words, or they'd blown that N-words head off.
Okay, so that's different than just saying the N-word. Okay? When you start accompanying the N-word with violence and killing and all that, now we get into, we're painting a better picture that maybe you do have a problem. Maybe you are, I hate to use the word racist because it's just, that word is tossed around so freaking much. It really doesn't mean to have a definition. You can be called a racist if, for drinking milk. And there's an actual article where I posted it that white milk is racist. So I don't like using that word. But if you've got comments to where you're associating the N-word with killing, shooting, blowing, running that in over, now we're painting a picture to where we're getting closer to where it's not just an isolated incident. It's not just a word. If you want to paint a picture of me and my partner calling each other nigger in the car, yo, my nigga, what's up? Let's go. What we gonna do tonight, nigga? Shit. Who's buying dinner, nigga? I mean, when you start joking around and using that term, it's a lot different than if I'm saying, I wish they'd blown that fucking nigger away. Now we got problems. So, I mean, that to me, this revelation, again, we don't have all the facts, totality of circumstances. The defense, just their case, got a little bigger. I still think they have a huge hurdle saying that this guy intended to kill him and that these guys were unlawful by trying to detain him because they thought a felony was being committed. However, this statement makes them look like not bad, good people. But a lot of bad people doesn't mean they're guilty of murder. Okay? OJ was a great person and he killed somebody. Okay? OJ was a great football player. He's a model. Everybody loved him. He killed somebody. And he got away with it. And then he went in and tried to commit armed robbery and went to prison for that. So, you can't get into this, a person is evil just because they use one word. Actually, a word that other people use every day, and it's okay. But only you can't use it, or you're a bad person. Only you can't have a rebel flag. If a black person has a rebel flag, it's okay. But you can't have a rebel flag. That's where you get into injustice. It's not fair. It's bullshit. People lose faith in the system. You actually, and I always say liberals create what they claim to defend. You create more hate for a group when you give that group special privileges, just like cops. You give them special immunity protections. You create hate for that group when you don't treat them fairly and you don't hold them to an equal and fair standard. That's what's kind of going on in my book.
Somebody sends him something.
And then he responds with that text.
And this is an Instagram that you've identified belonging to Travis McMichael.
It's correct. It was on his phone, too. Yes.
All right. Anywhere else that you've seen this?
Yeah.
Now, a follow-up question on that would have been, and do you have proof that nobody used his phone and that he actually responded and nobody has access to his account? And his answer would be no. We don't have proof of that. But it was on his account. And then I would throw up, well, a few minutes ago you said you didn't have proof that Arbery didn't want to commit theft when he went in, so it was a burglary. But when you can't prove that my client typed something on his account, you don't want to discount that. You want to say he typed it because it was his account. Have I got that right? I'd eat him up on that point.
Yes. There are several conversations, and I do not, they were on the phone. I do not remember if they were through instant messenger or through text. That I do not recall offhand. But one particular one that comes to mind is he made the statement that he loved his job because he was out on a boat and there weren't any N-words anywhere.
Did you get any information that he worked side by side with African Americans?
Okay, so is that statement relevant? It's painting a picture and it's putting blocks into a wall, however you want to say it. I know a lot of black people that say they don't like to hang around white people. Doesn't mean they want to kill them. And there's white people that don't want to hang around black people. Doesn't mean they don't want to kill them. Okay? I talk about horses a lot. My horses hang out with the same color. It's for safety. It's because of comfort. They feel comfortable. Black horses hang out. White horses hang out. Palomino, blonde, whatever you want to call them. Horses hang with their same color for survival, and they feel comfortable. I dated a Mexican girl, and she told me her mom wouldn't like me because she wants her to date Mexican men. So she doesn't like her dating Mexican or white men. And she's dated a few white men, and her mom don't like them because they're white. So, I mean, I've seen this. People want to make it out like, oh my God, if a white person wants to be with a white person, he's got to be evil, and he wants to kill all black people. I don't believe that shit for a minute. That's the liberal left-wing agenda. That's the bias freaking pushing the narrative, and that's exactly what this trial is moving to.
Did you ever discover that in your work?
I don't recall.
Or that he had been awarded any commendations for his work as a Coast Guard officer?
Again, I haven't reviewed his Coast Guard file.
Okay. I think you talked about looking into Greg McMichael's background. I won't go into that, but let me move into Satilla Shores neighborhood.
How come nobody's getting into Mr. Arbery's background? I haven't heard anything about his criminal history, prior arrest, prior run-ins with the law. I haven't heard about him going to doctor school or giving out Girl Scout cookies. I haven't heard anything about Arbery except that he was out jogging and he trespasses on houses that don't belong to him frequently. Those are the only two things I know about him. Why is that?
We talked about several dates from Larry English's home.
Okay, I'm at 31 minutes. Sorry. We'll make a next thing in the series here. If you want to watch it, you can. Don't come here and watch just to cry like a freaking pansy. All right, we'll end that one here.